If you guys don't know, the Sonic community has been going through so much recently. Jason Griffith got replaced, the writing became almost Disney Channel levels of cringe, Tails became a whiny baby, the Wisps and classic Sonic had to appear in every single friggin' game that came out, and people would not stop talking about that one game that came out years ago. Let it go, people! But now, we're approaching a new dawn, a new era, perhaps a new beginning. Some may even call them new frontiers. This is it, everyone, the big one. My first Sonic review by myself, and the one that may put me on a lot of people's most wanted lists. After dealing with the likes of Sonic Forces and Sonic Colors Ultimate, all hope seemed lost for the Blue Blur. That was until light was given to the Sonic community once more in the form of a game called Sonic Frontiers. When this game first came out, no one, and I mean no one, would stop talking about it. People said that this is what Sonic needed, and that this will bring Sonic back on his feet, while others continued to be pessimistic about it and said things like, no matter how much effort they put into it, it's still going to be garbage, or where the hell is my Sonic Adventure 3, Sega? And so the two sides were created. The side of Pro Frontiers, where you thought Frontiers was a great game and could be the step in the right direction, or you were part of the Hectic Hedgehogs, the group that thought Frontiers was gonna be a bad game, is a bad game, and Sonic is in a rabbit hole he can't climb out of. Which side do I stand proudly in? Well, that's what the video is for, right? Everyone, my name is Shade Midnight. Sit back and relax as I take a look at a new and possibly improved Sonic in Sonic Frontiers. The first time we saw anything related to Sonic Frontiers was around May 27th, 2021, with a trailer showing Sonic running in a random forest with a strange aura surrounding him in a matter of seconds. After he does a little loop around some trees, we were given a release year, 2022. We didn't get any more information until December 9th, 2021 during the Game Awards, where we not only got a new trailer, but we saw how the game was going to look, what place we were going to be exploring, and most importantly, the name. Keep in mind, up until that point, people were saying this was going to be called something like Sonic Rangers, which just doesn't roll off the tongue as much as the official name, Sonic Frontiers. After that, we were getting Frontiers info left, right, up, and down. Trailers promising us a wondrous new land, showing us these stages that look like old Sonic levels, someone who appears to be a new villain, gameplay that changes up the formula towards combat, and having us discover the secret of the ancients. This was setting the bar quite high for Sonic Frontiers. Maybe this was because Frontiers was directed by none other than Morio Kishimoto. You remember him, right? He was the lead game designer in Sonic and the Secret Rings, and Sonic and the Black Knight, and the director for Sonic Lost World and Sonic Forces. Oh jeez. Well, maybe the producers can help out, since they were Takashi Iizuka and Sachiko Kawamura. Iizuka was the producer in games such as Knight's Journey of Dreams, the Sonic rival games, as well as Lost World and Forces, and was the director for the adventure games Shadow the Hedgehog and even Sonic Heroes. And while Kawamura didn't have any producer roles before Frontiers, she was given special thanks in games like Sega Superstars, the Olympic Games, and Sonic Unleashed. Production for Sonic Frontiers started shortly after Forces was released in 2017 in Tokyo, Japan, with a team consisting of 60 people, 40 less than that of Super Mario 3D World. By the way, you guys should totally check that out after watching this one. Soon enough, the game finished development on October 22nd, 2022 and was released worldwide on November 8th, 2022, instantly gaining mostly positive feedback from both critics and casual gamers alike. If we take a look at the sales for Sonic Frontiers for each version, we can even see that it was in the top 10s within the first week of release, from being the 4th best-selling on the Switch in Japan to being the 7th best-selling on PlayStation 5. As of December 12th, 2022, Sega announced that Frontiers has sold over 2.5 million copies worldwide. That's a pretty hefty amount when you think about it. And looking at other reviews for this game, I think it's safe to say that it's deserving of that number. Before getting into the story, I want to state that the writers this time around are no longer Ken Pontac and Warren Graff. Yes! Yes! Instead, the main writer role has been given to the main man himself, Ian Flynn, aka the one who's been writing the Archie and IDW Sonic comics. Keep that in mind as I talk about the story, okay? Okay. The game starts off with Eggman traveling to the abandoned Starfall Islands for technology related to the Ancients, beings that we soon find out are related to Chaos from Adventure 1. After uploading an AI he created into a portal, Eggman gets attacked by these random robots, but thankfully, the AI's protection protocol activates, dragging Eggman into a new dimension called cyberspace. Meanwhile, Sonic and friends ride on over to the Starfall Islands since the Chaos Emeralds seem to be drawn to them. But while doing so, the team gets sucked into a wormhole into cyberspace. However, Sonic was able to escape and land on one of the islands where a voice tells him that he must collect the Chaos Emeralds and destroy every Titan on each of the Starfall Islands to remove the boundary between the real and digital world. As Sonic adventures around the Starfall Islands, he finds his friends trapped in these digital cages created by Eggman's AI, who's named Sage, that he soon releases them from. While they may not have their physical bodies, doing this ends up harming Sonic in the long run, corrupting his body with every cage he breaks. Even though Sage tells Sonic time and time again to leave this island, she soon begins to understand why Sonic is doing what he is doing and begins to form a bond with her creator Eggman, forming an almost father-daughter-like bond. Remember I said that. Soon enough, we find out about who and or what the Ancients are. They appear to be a species not from this world whose planet was destroyed by an all-powerful being simply known as the End. The Ancients were able to use the Chaos Emeralds to escape and were soon drawn in by the power of the Master Emerald on planet Earth. However, the End was able to track them down and ended up annihilating their new civilization. Having enough of this, the Ancients created the Titans to seal away the End in cyberspace, with their essence becoming these little creatures we know as the Coco. You guys still with me? Are ya? Okay, good. We're almost done, I promise. After destroying the third Titan known as Night, as well as disabling the towers that are maintaining the boundary between the real and digital worlds, Sonic finally yields to the corruption and becomes trapped between dimensions. And guess what? That voice that Sonic was following this whole time was actually the End, who ends up attacking Earth using the last Titan known as Supreme. By giving up their physical forms, however, Amy, Knuckles, and Tails are able to free Sonic from his corruption, having him collect the Chaos Emeralds once more to become Super Sonic and defeat Supreme. This isn't where things end though, because after doing this, the End escapes into space and plans on destroying the Earth in its true form, which is just a big ass moon. Taking control of the Supreme Titan and going into space with Sonic to defeat the End, Sage ends up sacrificing herself to finally destroy it once and for all. While Sonic's friends have their bodies restored and everything ends on a good note for them, Eggman is able to bring Sage back using the island's technology, bringing back his dear daughter, and ending Sonic Frontiers. Wow. Just wow. Now, Sonic really hasn't been known for the story as of recent games, but this one changes it. It's honestly pretty damn good with writing that doesn't make me want to skip every cutscene. However, this doesn't mean the story is perfect. One of the main questions I had is, why is the End doing what it's doing? Was it created with the sole purpose of destruction? Is it like dark matter where it just exists to bring about chaos? Speaking about chaos, besides one of the egg memos saying that the Ancients are related to Chaos, we don't get any word of him afterward. We get a few callbacks to the Black Arms from Shadow the Hedgehog and the Babylonians from Sonic Riders, which I'm surprised is actually canon, but that's about it. Besides that, these character interactions are gold. Amy isn't being possessive of Sonic and doesn't really focus in on him that much, Rather, she's trying to help two Cocos reunite so they can be together as they pass on to the afterlife. There's this one scene where she confronts him about helping these other Coco instead of trying to find a way to help his friends, and I just think that's really good writing. Knuckles and Sonic's conversations not only bring back that feeling of them being old rivals as they were beforehand, but Knuckles also talks to Sonic about how he feels being the last of his kind alive. And the talks with Sonic and Tails, oh my god. You remember how I said that Tails' character became that of like a whiny baby? Well, I guess Ian saw this and decided to rewrite his character, having him talk to Sonic about being in his shadow, stating how Sonic may see him as an inconvenience, or when he couldn't do anything against Infinite when he did so much in the past, with Sonic telling Tails that he's none of those things, and that he will always be his friend to the end, no matter what. God damn it, man, I'm playing a freaking Sonic game for crying out loud. I shouldn't be tearing up. And lastly, Eggman and Sage, who was once a character we thought was going to be a new villain, ended up becoming one of Sega's most well-written characters and someone who gave this mad scientist some hope for the future. The relationship between Eggman and Sage is almost that of Geppetto and Pinocchio. Old men who created something that they poured their heart into and soon grew attached to them, seeing those things as not just objects, but rather as family. When I heard Eggman say,
"Be careful, dear daughter,"
I almost choked up, not gonna lie. Sega, please, try and keep Ian as your writer. This is some of the most well-written dialogue we've gotten in a Sonic game for years now. Don't mess this up, guys. The story is great, and I'm excited to see where exactly it will take us in the near future. Gameplay for Sonic Frontiers is both more the same and yet is a bit different as well. You can still run at super high speeds, there's still a gotta go fast button, there's always rings to collect, and you can still do the usual homing attack. But now we have upgradable stats and the skill tree. Sonic has 4 main stats: speed, ring capacity, power, and defense. Speed and power are self-explanatory, ring capacity increases the number of rings you're able to collect, and defense decreases the amount of rings you lose whenever you get hit. You're able to increase your speed and ring capacity by collecting the many Cocos scattered around the Starfall Islands, or by buying them at Big's Fishing and bringing them to one of the Elder Cocos. We'll talk about the fishing in a bit. You can increase your power and defense by completing these overworld challenges that not only reveal parts of the map, but also give you either a power or defense seed, which you can also buy from Big's Fishing and give an Elder Coco. In addition to this, Sonic now has the ability to side loop. With a simple hold of a button, Sonic creates this trail that follows him around, letting him loop around enemies and objects to cause certain events. You can also draw a little circle with the side loop to create rings, skill points, character tokens, and even power or defense seeds. If you want to do something really fun, you can draw an infinite symbol with the side loop to gain the ability of infinite boost, making it so you never run out of boost for a good while, which is just so damn useful for a lot of situations. We should also probably address combat. Sonic now has a skill tree at his disposal which allows him to access certain moves he's never had before. After performing a homing attack, Sonic will start to barrage the enemy with kicks and punches, dealing extra damage to them. You can also use those new skills you gain from the skill tree to do some sick combos such as the homing shot, wild rush, spin slash, or cross slash. In order to gain these new skills, however, you must unlock them via skill points that you get by defeating enemies, doing overworld puzzles, or by doing that constant side looping I mentioned. Once your combo meter reaches a certain number, Sonic will enter Phantom Rush, making his attacks faster and stronger so you can see that combo meter reach numbers you never thought were possible. It's also worth mentioning that there's a parrying mechanic in this game, but it's not as precise as something like Dark Souls, where in those games you had to time your parry. However, in Frontiers you can just hold the shoulder buttons and it'll activate whenever you get attacked. That kind of takes away from the game's difficulty factor, but nothing I'm going to cry about. I can't talk about gameplay without mentioning the cyberspace levels, right? As I said, Sonic has to go around and collect 7 Chaos Emeralds in order to battle the Titan at the end, with the Titan holding the last emerald. Now, how do you get these Chaos Emeralds? By collecting Chaos Emerald Vault Keys by clearing these cyberspace levels. The cyberspace levels are almost like this game's special stages. Short stages you have to clear, and if you do, you get rewarded for it. Collecting all the red star rings, clearing with an S rank, collecting a certain amount of rings, these are the type of objectives you have to complete to get more Chaos Emerald Vault keys. And since they give you the keys to get the Chaos Emeralds, it kinda makes sense to call these special stages. Though I can definitely see the argument of Sega putting these in the game just to remind people that levels like Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, and Sky Sanctuary exist. And even though I find these cyberspace levels kinda fun, they can be a bit annoying. The boost feels a bit weaker to use, the controls and speed in the 3D segments feel hard to manage, and some of these levels just remind me a bit too much of Generations. But now, let's get into the big thing, the boss fights. The thing that people cannot stop talking about when it comes to this game. Can I just say that these fights are freaking awesome? The sheer scope and magnitude these fights hold is quite jarring, but in a good way. As I said, you have to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds to fight these big guys, with the Titan holding the last one, usually having to climb on top of the Titan and reach its head where the last emerald is being held. After absorbing it, you turn to Supersonic and just...
It's time to face your fears. When your time has come and gone, I'll be the one to carry on. And you can throw me to the walls, 'cause I am undefeatable.
These fights are so freaking cool! Assaulting Giganto with spins and punches, flying neck and neck against Wyvern while dishing out devastating blows, parrying the Knight's spinning blade shield and riding it while avoiding its small missiles and slicing it in half with its own sword. Stop! I can't take it! The only sleeper boss fight is, funny enough, the end. There are these sections on Chaos Island where the gameplay shifts to something like Galaga or a bullet hell. They aren't bad, but when the final boss fight is this sort of gameplay, I can't really say that it was my favorite. It was hard and satisfying to beat, just not really something I'll write home about. With all that said and done, I do have to talk about the main thing this game has that makes it the real #1 game of 2022, despite this review being made in 2023. It's not the deep story, it's not the nice visuals, it's not the awesome combat, it's Big's fishing. I'm, kind of not joking.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, listen. I know when you guys see Big, you immediately want to chuck the poor bastard to a nearby football field. I get it. But give me a few minutes to explain. Okay? There are certain sections of the map that have these portals you can go through and be transported to a lake where Big will be waiting for you. Here, you're able to fish for different kinds of fish, sea creatures, random objects, goalposts, choppers, and... wait, what the hell, treasure chests? What the heck is in this lake? You can do this by spending those fishing tokens you might have been collecting as you play the game. As you fish up different objects, you'll be rewarded with these special coins you can spend at Big's shop. This shop has so many things you can buy. You can buy portal gears for the cyberspace levels, the lost Cocos and different seeds for the elder Cocos, memory tokens, rings, skill points, and... wait, Chaos Emerald Vault keys? Whoa, excuse me? So I can just skip over the cyberspace levels and just fish away for the Chaos Emerald keys? That's, a bit OP, don't you think? I mean, sure, it makes the game a bit easier, so you don't have to go through hell with some of those levels, but that also makes the cyberspace levels just a bit redundant, right? I'll still play them because I think they're fun and interesting, but that's also half the game you're skipping over if you choose to just fish for the keys instead of playing through the cyberspace levels. Not just that, but fishing for the power and defense seeds also makes it so that you can basically one-tap any enemy that comes into view, removing any part of the challenge in Frontiers. Of course, I can't tell you how to play your Sonic game, but I will say that if you want a challenging playthrough, just try to only fish once or twice. That's what I did, and I still had a lot of fun. Besides that, I think this is the most fun I've had in a Sonic game at all. Boosting feels more like a part of Sonic's kit and not just a free win button unlike the previous games. The combat is simple and easy to learn, almost making a good gateway to a hack and slash genre. And while I do think Big's fishing can break the game if you put your time into it, it's still honestly very fun and kind of relaxing as well. I'm just gonna skip over that one pinball level though. The less I talk about it, the better. Now, I'll be honest here and say that this isn't the best looking game ever. Far from it. And in comparison to other Sonic games, Frontiers doesn't have the color or vibrancy you'd usually see. While I don't like to talk about it often, Sonic Colors was beautiful and sprightly, Lost World was pretty and eye-popping, and Sonic Boom. However, with that said, Frontiers doesn't look bad at all. Not one bit. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge sucker for the way water looks in video games, and the water here looks pretty solid. The environments aren't anything to scream to the gods about, but that doesn't mean they're inherently bad. All of these islands are huge in scope, with each one having different themes that we've all seen here and there. You know the ones. Grass, desert, lava, Twitter, yeah, those ones. There are 5 islands known as Chaos Island, Ares Island, Kronos Island, Oranos Island, and Rhea Island. Again, these islands aren't something to write home about design-wise, but in terms of size and scope, it's pretty interesting to see what they were able to do here. Rivers of lava, beautiful open fields, and foggy chasms aplenty are some of the things that look pretty eye-catching in Frontiers. It's also worth noting this game runs at a smooth 60 FPS for the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions, while PS4, Xbox Ones, and Switch users have to deal with 30, and even then, it doesn't look too bad. I guess I should probably talk about the cyberspace levels too. As I stated, most of the level designs that went into these levels are almost ripped right from Generations, which personally feels a bit lazy. Don't get me wrong, these levels still look pretty and are nice to look at, especially any of the chemical plant ones, but I was really hoping to go into a Sonic game and, not be reminded of the previous games. With that said, I think Frontiers looks pretty damn good, all things considered. The random objects and rails placed on certain parts can feel a bit jarring, but when you think about it, you need something to do while traversing these huge landmarks, so I can kinda look aside from that. I can see people make the argument of the pop-ins for some walls and ramps to hinder the game's performance, which, I'll be honest, that would be the one thing I find pretty out of place. The enemy designs are something I have to give props to. These new robots we fight against are sick as hell. Shoutouts to Ghost, Caterpillar, Strider, Shark, and Master Ninja for having some of the coolest designs out of all of them. While traversing the Starfall Islands, your ears are going to be graced by some amazing music. To thank for that, we must look at none other than Tomoya Ohtani. You remember him too, right? Lead composer of well-known games like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Lost World, pretty much any modern Sonic game out there. He stated that when making the music for Frontiers, he wanted to deviate from it being upbeat and cheery to trying to give the islands a mysterious feeling while you ran through them. This is evident when you listen to tracks like Theme of Starfall Islands, or Kronos Island 4th Movement. When not focused on trying to give the islands that mysterious feeling, however, the music begins to feel like that of usual Sonic. Flowing into the Light, Database, Nostalgic Sweep, Transparent Highway, and Escape the Loop are some notable songs you'll listen to when going into the cyberspace levels. These songs are fast-paced, vocalized, and energetic masterpieces. This was done with the help of Kenichi Tokoi, Takahito Uguchi, Rentaro Soma, Kenji Mizuno, Kanen Uguni, and Hiroshi Kawaguchi. I hope I pronounced all of those correctly. But then there are the big ones. The ones that everyone, me myself included, still listen to this very day. And that would be the boss themes. Remember, the Titans are supposed to be huge, imposing, and menacing, so what better music to suit them than some good old rockin' frickin' roll? Kellen Quinn, the lead singer of the band Singing with Sirens, was able to lend a hand in playing a part for 3 of the 4 Titan fights: Undefeatable for Giganto, Break Through It All for Wyvern, and Find Your Flame for Knight, with Danger Kids' Tyler Smith playing a part in Find Your Flame. The second phase of the Supreme fight plays the main theme of Frontiers, I'm Here, which is amazing on its own right. And the ending theme? Oh my gosh. Vandalize has been living in my head rent frickin' free. All these songs have. Sonic games rarely have sleeper OSTs, but Frontiers? Listen, if you ever heard of a bad Sonic OST before, this one isn't a sleeper. It's a waker. I can't say anything bad about it. I love almost every single song this game has to offer, and I even played it to some friends who aren't Sonic fans, and they fell in love with it. Honestly, I have to say without a doubt, one of the best sounding and looking Sonic games we've gotten in a damn long time. So you guys may have noticed that I left the DLC, Final Horizon, out of this review. This is mostly due to the fact that I wanted to focus on the base game of Frontiers. I may take a look at it later on, but we'll see what happens. Besides that, what do I think overall of Sonic Frontiers? Well, I can definitely say this is a much better game than Forces. Taking into account that the games we got beforehand weren't really the best in the franchise, Frontiers had a lot riding on it, and a lot of people, myself included, were a bit worried for it. But come release day, we were worried for nothing. Sonic Frontiers is one of the most fun and interesting Sonic games out there. From the actually pretty good story and dialogue to the smooth and fluid combat, beautiful and almost breathtaking visuals and colors, to the enjoyable and addicting OST, Sonic Frontiers has almost everything one would want in a modern Sonic game. I think everyone can agree with me that being a Sonic fan is not easy. Not one bit. Getting consistent games has never been a thing during Sonic's jump to 3D. I mean, need I remind you about 06, Secret Rings, Lost World, Boom, and Forces? Yeah, didn't think so. It was nice to be able to play a Sonic game for once and feel a sense of, well, enjoyment. Not to say I didn't have some fun with the others, just felt like Frontiers really kept my attention throughout its entirety. This was the game we truly needed as Sonic fans, and one that will go down as one of the best Sonic games ever. With that said, I'm happy to say that Sonic Frontiers is well deserving of a 9 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. I had a lot of fun editing this one, and I'm honestly excited to work on my next review, which, judging by the poll, looks to be Lady in a Leotard with a gun. Why did I ever make that choice? Anyways, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more of my videos. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Sonic Frontiers and what your favorite Sonic game is. With all that said and done, my name is Shade Midnight. Stay safe and stay fresh.